Okay, hello again. This is Mr. Blake. Just wanting to go through and talk to you a bit about storyboarding and why it's a useful process to learn and show you how to effectively do it, particularly for your PowerPoint animation assignment. So, firstly, we're going to discuss what is storyboarding and why you should do it. So, storyboarding essentially is a written and graphic representation of what you want your PowerPoint to look like. It's used frequently in movie creation, also for presentation making that isn't PowerPoint related, but this is just focused on how it can be useful for PowerPoint. So, yeah, it's essentially a blueprint, and the technique was developed by Walt Disney in the 1920s when he was making his Mickey Mouse cartoons, and people are still using it today. So the benefits of storyboarding, it helps you to visualize the structure of your presentation to provide a beginning, middle, and end. It also can give you the opportunity and space to think out your presentation, how it's going to flow, and what content you are going to put into it. Helps you to generate creative ideas. It can act as a sketchpad to dump ideas and choose the best ones so that you are not just putting a bunch of random information in that doesn't end up being all that useful. It makes sure that you're really putting in the best information possible. It allows you to focus on the idea and not the tool being PowerPoint, and the idea being whatever it is your PowerPoint presentation is supposed to be about. And it can actually allow you to save time. If you effectively plan, it can be very easy to put together your presentation. So, steps for storyboarding. Step one, you need to answer this question, and it also says here start with paper. Shouldn't say of paper. I apologise. I should say start on paper, not in PowerPoint. So, what is the question? The question is, why should the audience listen to you? Now, the audience in this situation is me. I will be the person who is observing and looking through your presentation. So, what is it that you are teaching me or telling me? Why is it important? Okay, why is it relevant? So, all you have to do is just as a start, convince me that your presentation is worth watching. Okay. Step two, prepare a rough presentation outline. So ideally, again, this should be done on paper. Using sticky notes, post-it notes are a really good method, but you could just potentially write your ideas spread out on a piece of paper. That works just as well. And write down any outline ideas that come to your mind of the types of things that you might want to include in your presentation. You can refine them further later on. So this can be what step two looks like, with a bunch of ideas written down on post-it notes, stuck on a piece of paper or a wall or something like that, so that then you can visualize everything, have an idea of the different things that you might want to include. So that's step two. Step three is removing the weak parts of your PowerPoint or your flow of the ideas that you want to present. So it helps you to review the outline as a third person. It makes you not be too invested in it. It's a good way to be a little bit more critical of what to include and what not to include. So ask yourself, do I need all of these slides? What might be missing so far now that I can see it all? Will the audience care about all of these different slides that I'm planning to put in, or should I get rid of some? And is this slide essentially a waste of space? Step four, ideally, you should be trying to add some section headers. If your PowerPoint is covering multiple different topics, you don't want to cram everything into one or two slides. You want to make sure the key rule, the golden rule, is one message per slide. All right, so we've written that here, one message per slide. Ensure to not list everything and bunch it up. This is why section headers are useful. So you can see here the section headers are written in bold, and then there are a range of other sub topics that cover the information to be presented in that section heading. All right, so it will let you, the audience, know that you have included that you've concluded one section and that you are moving on to the next section. Step 5 is to prepare your final presentation. So get the order of things exactly how you want them to be. You've had the chance to get rid of sections. You've had the chance to put them into different heading groups. Now it's about actually laying out what is the final outline going to be before you start designing. So what is the order that you want the audience to hear this information? How might they like to learn what you've got to present? Step 6, storyboard the presentation. So now is the time where you work on the rough sketches of your slides. So you don't have to be an artist, just ensure that your slide or your sketches or your descriptions, it can be written, it doesn't have to be drawn. Just make sure the information you're presenting is neat enough to be easily read and understood. Sometimes you might storyboard something that then somebody else will create, so they need to be able to understand what it is you're talking about. So this should help you decide on what layout you might have for your slides, what kind of colors you're going to use, the placement of your visuals, in particular for this assessment task, what is the placement of your animations going to be? What sections of your work or your slide are going to be animated in what different ways? And you can just write little notes that outline that next to where the information is presented. And you can also be critical of what text it is that you're going to include. And then finally, you need to convert your sketches into polished slides or your storyboards into slides. So knowing what elements are going to be on each slide before you actually create the slides allows you to open PowerPoint and create an effective presentation that will sell your argument. Okay, so whatever it is you're trying to prove to me or to let me know or inform me about, doing a good plan beforehand will make sure that what you've put in your PowerPoint will help you to do that. It'll take you far less time to create the PowerPoint once you get to this step if you have effectively storyboarded and planned, because you'll know exactly what you want to put into each slide, and the only things that you might need to touch up is just the layout a little bit, what pictures you might be wanting to include, and things like that. So look, that's a little bit about storyboarding. One of the requirements of your PowerPoint animation task is to create a storyboard for what your information is going to contain. And you do get marked on your storyboard also to show that you have planned effectively how to create your PowerPoint before you actually do it. So if you have any questions, please make sure to send me an email, or you can ask me in class if you are in class to talk to me. Okay, thank you.